Afghanistan. If it's in Malaysia, 30 million Muslims. So the whole point is, with statistical value to a p-value less than 0.05, the statistical analysis is this. If you take away American and foreign occupation, the statistical p-value on Islam makes it not correlative. It's a confounding variable, and I'm really glad I'm saying this so people can understand what I'm talking about. Try presenting the theologians on this. What is confounding variable? What's a p-value? It holds up as a published article in my next book, Zero Suicide Bombings in Those Places. So what are the factors associated? It's a religious difference. Differs from the occupying power. Well, how does that work with the Shiite-Sunni violence? How does that work with the violence in Syria? Very simple. How does it work that it says it's religious difference? It works because they've been declared non-Muslim. So I spent the last several years studying this as the factor. Ready? The Prophet, peace be upon him, said, I come as a mercy for all worlds. My mercy precedes my wrath. At the head of every surah, except 9, is Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. So how did we get mercy on every surah, on everything that he says? My mercy precedes everything. How did we get that to where Muslims can kill Muslims? This is what he said in the farewell sermon. The life and property of every Muslim is your sacred trust, not just a few. An Arab has no security. Every Muslim is my brother. And every Muslim, that Muslims constitute one brotherhood, and then says some nice things about don't forget your wife's birthday and be nice to her. Or show up with earrings if you do forget. How did we get from this farewell sermon to Muslim violence? The subject of my work. And it goes back to how ISIS. Now, I don't say all that Assad does is religious violence. Not at all. That's good old-fashioned power. But it's not. Other people feel it is. Somehow or another, people are thinking individually, I'm doing something sacred. I'm doing something good. How do they justify themselves by doing this? How did they have the religion and hijack it? Ibn Taymiyyah. People here have ever read? A couple people have read Ibn Taymiyyah? Okay. Ibn Taymiyyah was not that big in the past. He was resurrected a lot out, okay, by Al-Qaeda. He basically was what I would consider, in Damascus at the time, he would have been what I consider like the chairman of economics department, the chairman of the theology department, the religion department, and the law department. When it was kind of mixed together. That's what he would have been. He was been like you'd consider like a university professor who publishes and spent a lot of time in jail for his published writings. He was the equivalent of a journalist at the time in a way, who mostly wrote about economics, a fair wage, wrote about capitalism, because he talked about wage equality, fair measures, wage equality. He wrote this much about wage equality and this much about fighting. They had killed millions of people and they're sweeping across the world, killing everybody in their sight, and they're literally at the doorstep of Damascus. The Caliph leaves town, Ibn Taymiyyah says. And what he said as they came down, conquering Aleppo and then Damascus, is that people in Damascus said, oh, we can't